J Mac from Syracuse, New York, man, came all the way out to see my Colorado Buffs.
What channel do you watch that brought you out here?
The pregame show.
Never watched the college game till last season when Coach Prime came to Colorado. And I am in Colorado at Folsom Field. I am the Colorado Buffaloes auntie from Texas. Sweet treat.
Hey, I've been following the pregame show. It's all about let's go Buffs.
Way from Texas, yes sir. Watch you every single day. Nobody lays it down like Uncle Neely and the pregame show.
Neely, pregame show behind the scenes of everything. And why does he get that kind of access? Why does he get that kind of access? Because trust is involved. You would never get the kind of access you desire unless there's trust and relationship. Trying to put you up on game.
Hey, it is an episode of the Big Boys. It's your boy Uncle Neely. We got Coach Carl Reed here, and you can see joining us in the middle is Northern Kordell Stewart himself, otherwise known as Slash. Coach Reed, we're here at practice. Cincinnati comes in here tomorrow, 8:15 p.m. kickoff live on ESPN. Talk about it.
Great environment here already. The excitement is at a fever pitch at the University of Colorado with what Coach Prime has been doing to turn this program around. Cincinnati 5-2 also. Good ball club. Coach Satterfield, a great offensive mind. They have a really special interior defensive lineman that we have to work on getting the block. But I want to ask Kordell right away. Being an alum of the university, what are some of the things you've seen in terms of the way the culture has been changing in year number 2 of the Coach Prime era?
It's similar to who we are. Athletes that just want to be great. Anytime you have a coach like Coach Prime and all the other Coach Pat Shermer, this training staff, to Smitty, even when it comes down to the equipment, that's all championship vibes. And when you have that mentality here, and it's unconventional. It's not the conventional way of thinking where they go through the process of getting a guy that's colorful in the sense of how the tradition of the game is. Prime is who he is, based on him being himself, but most importantly, allowing him to just go out, which allows him to go out and just play the game where he knows how to. So for me, I just think what he does and how he does it, it permeates throughout this entire institution, not just the football program, but the institution and also this community.
You know, Coach, before you can play a game, win a game, you got to recruit the talent. And one thing that I'm seeing with Coach Prime and you saying this university, in so many words, allowing him to be him, reminds me when you got recruited here. Like, we're all in Colorado, but they went down to Marrero and got a quarterback. Talk about Coach Prime's reach and how that impacts recruiting.
That's the incredible thing about what you said, because that derived around Bill McCartney at the time, the great Bill McCartney, and the things he did. We didn't have social media. So to find me in Marrero, outside of New Orleans, I must have either done something well or they were looking for somebody that looked like me. One or the other, right? But to that, Coach Prime has a very unique way. If you go back and just look at how he's done things over his entire time after the game, is he got involved with the Truth program with the kids. He got involved with the Under Armour camp. So to have a chance to assess talent, if there was a time to do it, he was doing it then. And to be able to see it with the eye test, and also in levels of communication that fits his mentality, so that when those kids do have a chance to go to an institution like Colorado under him, you see the kids responding similar to how he is. And now that you see these kids getting an opportunity, from the Cams to the Shilohs to the Shedeurs, when you start Travising, when you start seeing those guys out here, Brown as well on the offensive line, that came from where he came from in Jackson State, understanding it. You see them now in their second year here, playing so much better because they've gotten literally their feet wet in the sense of how the game is played on this level of football, to where everyone said they couldn't do it, right? They question it because they're coming from the HBCU community, knowing that the talent is mostly on the outside with the skill position players as opposed to in the trenches. We got that sewed up this year. And now in the trenches, you're seeing how we're playing. They're playing that balanced style football, which is what we did way back in the day, which we were alluding to. And Coach Mack knew it. He went to Compton. He went to Watts. He came to Marrero. He went to the 3rd Ward in Houston. He went to parts of Florida that most people probably wouldn't go, where Prime we know would go. He went to parts of Philadelphia and got some kids like the Phil Savoys of the world and brought them here to Colorado, and we fell in love with it. And now all of a sudden we've seen the same thing again, just with another guy by the name of Coach Prime.
Shedeur is starting to separate itself from the other quarterbacks in the country when they talk, having the NFL discussion about who should be QB1. Right. What have you seen as a former quarterback in his development and the way that he's playing right now?
People, you ask me the question, do I think he could evolve into being an FBS-style quarterback coming from Division I AA? You know, and I'm sitting here saying to myself, that's a real ignorant question.
Yes.
Because it's football. Now, the talent per capita on each team may be different because out of 11 guys on the defensive side of football, you may have 8 guys that are very good, as opposed to maybe in some cases 4. I get that part. But remember, he's going to have that type of talent on his side of the ball with him to where he's not going to have to do it by himself. But if you watch him individually, the throws that he was making, the calls that he was checking at the line of scrimmage and getting the ball to certain guys and showing that leadership capabilities on the field, he's doing it now, and he's even better this year. The thing I love most about Shedeur, as a guy who played this game with the ability that I had, that was different than most, being able to catch it, throw it, punt it, run it, all that good stuff. Triple threat. They like to say dual threat. They don't never say triple threat. So that means they just, you know, they got to talk about me, and they don't want to just talk about me. But the thing I saw great about Shedeur was, and is under duress, he's even more accurate with the ball placement. That's different than most, and you can't deny it because he's still doing it now against great teams, man. And so, for us to have to, based on narratives and perceptions, have to continue to prove that we're worthy of being great players, coming from HBCU, and to put such a dark cloud over even that league, that's disrespectful. Because the game is played between the lines, and you can't help that the guys across from you are not good enough to stop you. That's not your fault. And so when you watch him, he does everything right. He keeps his nose clean for sure. The thing he has better than everyone else, being QB1, is he has someone that played the game before. So he's been taught this way for a very long time. This is not new to him. Now the kid down in Miami, Cam Ward, he's special.
He is.
I mean, you can't take nothing from him. His movements under pressure, it seems like he calms down more when the pressure comes. And that's something that you need to have when it comes to anxiety of quarterbacks under duress. He shows no pressure. So does Shedeur. So those are my 2 favorite, but of course I got to go with the home team. You know, when it comes down to it with QB1 with Shedeur, and he's special. He's extremely special.
Well, speaking of one more home team, we got Travis Hunter right here. And everyone is talking about the potential for him to win the Heisman, but as with anything, you have the naysayers, and the naysayers are not really looking at the facts. Here you have a guy who's mid-season All-American at receiver and at corner, both sides of the ball. What are your thoughts on Travis and that Heisman potential and what he just brings to college football?
It's back to the conversation of unconventional wisdom, right?
Yeah.
There's a retina in our eye that's like the Wi-Fi, right? It's been programmed to look at it a certain way. And when looking at it a certain way, it doesn't fit the narrative of how the Wi-Fi has been programmed. So if they don't get it right this year, they'll get it right 3, 4 years, 5 years, 6, 10 years later. It's now. This kid is doing everything. If there's 130 snaps in its totality throughout the game, including special teams, of course special teams get field goals, kickoff, punts, and all that kind of stuff, so you take away 15 of those plays. If there's another 105 plays out of 120, he's getting every bit of about 100 of those. And the 5 that he's not, he's getting water. I mean, he's thirsty. Can he have a seat? Who else is taking that many snaps? Who?
And not just taking the snaps, performing.
But here's the thing, though. He's going man coverage, and he's running routes 10 yards plus every time he runs a route, unless he catches a hitch and he runs for 20 yards on a game. I'm going to say it again. We're not doing zone. We're running man coverage.
He's working.
Which means he is running a minimum of 40 yards every time he takes a snap. Who does that? Now, the backup in Boise State, is that what it is? I think the kid. Traditionally, the backs, Rashawn Salam, the Barry Sanders of the world, all of those dudes, I had Rashawn with me. I saw it. 2,000 yards, it's not easy to come by. In this game today, and I'm talking about in a time in which fullbacks were still in the game, 2,000 yards today is a little easier to attain. But a guy that played 90% of the snaps in its totality, nobody else is doing it. Not even Charles Woodson back in when he played with Michigan did it. This dude is doing it like we did it in Little League. We're playing every snap on the football field, and if he needs to do special teams, he'll do that too. So if they're talking about the Heisman Trophy, you can't if you're questioning what Travis is doing, you're an idiot. I'm going to say it. You're an idiot. You need to change your job because that work that he's doing, you come do a third of it and see how it feels. Because the work that he's doing, no one else is doing it, or at least had a coach that allowed him to do it. Let's say that part, right?
Absolutely.
Because we have a special guy in Coach Prime that understands it, and he's allowing him to do it. I just hate that we have to try to put so many narratives and perspectives on top of it to really understand what we're doing. Because the eye test, the retina, tells us it looks a certain way, but you know what we're saying? Oh, it can't last. No, what is he doing here? He's doing it.
And it keeps lasting.
And it keeps lasting.
It's funny you say that because people ask me a lot, do I think that this can be duplicated at another program? And I always say that you have to have the kind of mindset that Coach Prime has.
Yes.
And do you think that anybody else could come into a program and duplicate what he's done, a guy that has a former NFL background as a player?
You have to have the galls to do it. Meaning you have to have either done it before or been around it before. That's like the mobile quarterback. You have to either have coached it or been around someone that coached it to understand it, to be patient, to allow it to do what it's supposed to do. That's why when you think of Jaden Daniels with Washington, that coordinator he has, he gets it. That's why
let him be great.
As
the young people say, let him cook.
Let him cook. We saw with Kyler Murray when he had him. Kyler Murray's first year, how great he was. When you find a coach that can identify that talent, the comfort of allowing it to happen, it's almost like us having this conversation. It just happens. It's easy.
It's just easy.
It's not like, oh my God, no. It takes a coach that can identify that talent and allow it to play. That's where, to me, when it comes to coaching, they need to be challenged. Because how many players you think has been left by the wayside because they've been that type of player but never got a chance because he couldn't be that one particular type player. You're talking to one right now.
I was about to tell you that. I was about to tell you. I was about to say we looking at one of them now.
We got a head coach and Coach Kyrie said at the Pat Summerall event when he was, and I'm gonna say it because I wasn't gonna say it, but I'm gonna say it. He said when giving his speech, he was speaking about all of the different players that came through and coaches that helped him along the way to have the success that he had. And he said, I had this one player named Slash. You know, he could do everything, and he was my quarterback, But I still say my best wide receiver on the football field was my starting quarterback. Now, I can look at that upside down. And the only reason I said it because I know he's a traditional coach. But what I did wasn't something that they taught me. This was something that gave to me from birth, from the man upstairs.
You brought it to them.
And so for me to be my natural self, it was only when I was with Chan Gailey and I was with Mike Mularkey, because they've seen that before. Chan Gailey with John Elway. Mike Mularkey came in '96. I started in '97. He saw Chan work with me to where when Mike Mularkey became my coordinator, that's when I had another successful season. Any other time, Kevin Gilbert, they try to make me Warren Moon. And I'm not about to have option routes with all of my receivers. Man, look, give it to me. Allow me to play it.
Let me cook.
As they say, pause, right? We say, pause, right? Go and let me have what you want me to do and go out and let me just go ahead and play. And when you leave it alone and not try to make it something it's not, then you can have success. But it takes a special guy, like I said, the goals to identify those players, to then let it be duplicated and actually have action on the football field. And Coach Prime is the perfect person for that.
I love it, man. You know, as you two know, because y'all know math and y'all know ball, we're standing here 5-2. Very easily could have been 6-1. Standing here 5-2, one win away from that goal of getting Miss Peggy a bowl game. After that, we just increased the level of the bowl. Cincinnati's coming here 5-2, so somebody's going to leave here tomorrow night bowl eligible. Coach, starting with you, what does it take for Colorado to leave off that field bowl eligible?
Cincinnati likes to do a lot of three-man front, and they like to drop 8. So they're going to drop in the deep zones and try to stop Travis and Jimmy and them from beating them over the top. We're going to have to be able to run the ball through those holes in that softer front. And once we establish the run game and you can force that secondary to come up, then you can let Travis and Horn and our group of receivers at Shedeur go to work.
I mean, you took the words out of my mouth, and I could just take it back to when I was coaching in high school, running the RPO system. It was so hard against that 3-3 front, because that's what it is, a 3-3 front, right? And so you got those 6 guys, you got a nose guard, and you got a guy right behind him. And then you got the guys on the outside that's right behind those ends or a little bit outside of them, and you can play too high on top of that and technically do what you want to do. It can be, you can become impatient because you see where there are opportunities to throw it and do certain things, but you got to take what that defense gives you. If you could be patient And just as we just alluded to a second ago and said, run the ball, be methodical with it, be patient, if it's just 6 yards on the game, that's fine. If we can't get the big throw, don't try to get thirsty and try to go get it, because that's 8 guys that's back there.
Yeah.
Not saying that's what we're going to do, but sometimes in these situations, it baits you into doing something via anxiety, and that can create the mistakes. So if we could just create some balance and force them to come up, then that's when we start winning. So we can't work off of them, they have to work off of us, but identifying what they're doing to make them respond to us. And if we just gash them running it, because we've been running the ball well throughout this year in comparison to what we've done in the past, and be patient, we'll have a chance to be that team that gets to 6 and be for sure bowl eligible and get Lady Peggy where she needs to go.
Absolutely. You have been watching the big boys. We got two of the best, two of the experts. They've been there and done that. Coach Carl Reed, representing St. Louis, / Kordell, my man out of Marrero. Y'all go listen to MC Thick. His song Marrero, cruising down the street real slow. Hey, y'all stay tuned to the Pregame Show Network, because we're going to bring you lots of other coverage. Kordell, appreciate you, brother.
Always, baby.
My man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Where y'all from?
We up from Miami, Florida.
We're from Miami.
All the way from Miami.
Appreciate y'all coming, man.
Hey, man, we love what you guys are doing, man. We want to support you in every way.
Appreciate you, family.
And we're recruiting at home. Everything we see at home, we bring it this way.
My man.
You gotta believe. Dude, we've been believing since day one,
That's
dog.
why I gave them to
Remember
you.
back in Jackson State? We've been believing with you in the pregame show.